Hey guys, Happy New Year. I hope you all have had a great start to 2025. I'm planning to do a few videos recapping some of my favorite records from 2024, but I wanted to wait till the very last day before I reviewed them because I did collect a few during the last few days of 2024. This one I'm particularly excited about because for me, 2024 was a year of musical discoveries, be it international music, new genres, some that were rather left field, music that was recommended to me as well. And so I hope that I can share with you at least one new record that you can add to your collection. The records I'm about to review struck a chord within me in some capacity, so I hope that they can provide some inspiration for you upon your next record store visit. So with that, let's get started in no particular order. The first record is Paesaggi by the Italian composer Piero Umiliani, whom I discovered during my trip to Milan, beginning of this year. As I was looking up some music from some well-known Italian musicians, Piero Umiliani was often cited as one of the most well-known composers. It is this genre of music called library music or production music that I discovered recently, and it's basically just background music that media producers can acquire rather cheaply compared to more popular or commercial music. So this album is a great representation of jazz, easy listening. The word paesaggi actually translates to landscapes, so the tracks on this album kind of transport you to various landscapes around the world, and this is a great album if you want something nice to listen to in the background. Next up is the self-titled debut album, Yellow Magic Orchestra. This album was particularly interesting because this year I discovered a lot of Japanese music and I started to delve into electronic music as well. Yellow Magic Orchestra are often cited as one of the pioneers of electronic music. A well-known band member includes Ryuichi Sakamoto, which you might know, who is a well-known Japanese pianist up to this day. This group is known for being very innovative. The sounds on this album were unheard of at the time, and so it might be a little bit left field. It definitely was left field for me when I first listened to it. I actually found this record at a shop. There's this local photographer who was selling some stuff, and this album was just lying on the ground, and so I decided to pick it up and cop it right away at a good price. And so if you want to get introduced to electronic music in general or Japanese electronic music, this is definitely a must listen and a quintessential Japanese electronic record. Next up is Busto by Amàlia Rodrigues, a Portuguese fado artist. Amàlia Rodrigues is one of the most well-known fado singers coming from Portugal. This particular genre of music is characterized by its rather sad themes such as poverty or loss. And even though I don't understand a single word on this album, I can definitely feel that. Her vocal performance is stellar on this album, and this is definitely one of the must listens if you want to get introduced to the genre of fado music. This album in particular was recorded in Lisbon and is often credited for really putting fado music on the map, especially with the help of the songwriter Alain Ullmann. So yeah, definitely give it a listen. This one I got at the LX Factory at the Jazz Messenger record shop, which shares a space of this bookstore, which you might have seen on social media somewhere. It's also a great place to get fantastic jazz records if you are in Lisbon. Next up is Troupeau Bleu by the French jazz funk group Cortex. This is their debut album. I was listening to some hip hop track. I was looking to the sample of that track and I discovered that it was from this album. This is a fantastic record if you are into jazz, funk, hip-hop even, soul. This group in particular has been sampled by MF Doom, Lupe Fiasco, Tyler the Creator, just to name a few. So if you are into those like soulful, jazzy samples, this is a great album to listen to if you are into that. I picked this one up at Oye Records, a well-known record shop in Berlin. This year I often came back to this album when I wanted something nice and chill and groovy to listen to in the background, so this is definitely a must listen if you are into hip-hop or soul or jazz. Next up is one of my favorites that I got this year. This was gifted to me by a Kenyan friend and colleague. This is Zombie by Fela Kuti. For those who are unfamiliar, he's often cited as the godfather of Afrobeats. Now, Fela Kuti not only produced fantastic music back in the day, but he was also a rather polarizing political figure because oftentimes his music would critique the government in power, particularly the government in Nigeria at the time, who was rather oppressive. And so this album really sparked a lot of political controversy because right after it was released, riots ensued. And so yeah, this one is definitely a polarizing but also a fantastic record if you want some groovy beats with a little bit of call and response vocal chants that Fela Kuti was known for. So if you are into African music in general or have never listened to it at all, this is definitely a great intro as well. So highly recommend adding this one to your collection. Next up is another favorite of mine, probably my most played album this year, especially on Spotify. Anri is a city pop artist and ended up being my top Spotify artist this year. So this was the year where I discovered a lot of Japanese music, as I said earlier, and Timely by Anri is one of the most famous and best city pop albums of all time. And if you are familiar with city pop at all, you know how big she is. This one includes a lot of bangers, a lot of upbeat, funky, and groovy tracks that just have you singing along, even though the majority of the lyrics are in Japanese. There are some choruses with English words, which help me to sing along as well. And is the perfect summer album if you want something groovy playing. This one I got from a friend who recently visited Tokyo in Japan. Normally this album is rather expensive if you want to get it here, but this is a reissue, and so if you are in Japan, you can get a lot of records at a rather affordable price. So I'm very thankful that he got this for me, as well as another record. But yeah, Timely by Anri, definitely a must listen if you like city pop. Next up was a rather random discovery. I was looking at some new releases earlier this year, and this cover caught my eye. This is the debut album by The Last Dinner Party, Prelude to Ecstacy. This album catapulted this group from nobodies to somebodies in a split second. It's already won multiple awards. This album is a great blend of Baroque pop, orchestral music, indie rock. So if you are into artists such as Florence and the Machine or Kate Bush, this is definitely a must listen. It's luscious, it's layered, great vocal performances, and covers topics such as female empowerment and romance. So if you are into that stuff, definitely give these women a listen. So recently I've been getting into classical music because I want to listen to something that I can work along to. So this one I got during a day trip to Dinan, which is a small town in Belgium. There was a donation shop that had a lot of classical records, and I was looking for some well-known pieces by Beethoven, and so number 3, Eroica, is often cited as one of his greatest works, and Herbert von Karajan is a composer who is well known for doing great renditions of Beethoven's work. This one was performed at the iconic Berlin Philharmonic. This symphony in particular is very dramatic, it's ambitious, it's heroic. Karajan does a great job of bringing this symphony to life. He changes the tempo a little bit here and there to add a little bit of dimension. So if you are into classical music, definitely give this one a listen, and I can't wait to discover more classical works and getting into music that shaped music that we know today. This one is also a random find. So I went to Marlin Records in Berlin, and the coffee mug caught my attention. So I gave this record a listen, realized it was a hip hop album. It kind of struck a chord with me right away. So Nepumuk is the artist, as well as Serch. I think he's a producer. So this is a rather underground album. The hip hop artist is from Mainz in Germany. And normally I don't like German rap, but I was immediately attracted to the soulful, dusty beats, kind of reminiscent of Madlib. And Nepumuk, also known as Nosum now, I believe, does a great job of rapping to it. I was pretty impressed with the cadence, the beats, and so this one I really enjoyed actually upon first listen. So now I am close to the end, and so to wrap up the last few, I have an electronic album. This one I got from Space Hall in Berlin, one of the most well-known record shops there, with an expansive collection of electronic music. Tangerine Dream are one of the pioneers of electronic music based out of Berlin. This album in particular was pivotal in their discography because it was the first time they kind of blended their electronic devices with some acoustic instruments such as piano, guitar, and organ. So if you want to get introduced to electronic music, specifically coming out of Berlin, this is a great intro because it's a bit more melodic. Electronic music back in the day was a little bit left field, and so if you want something a bit easier on the ears, this one is a great listen. So definitely give it a try if you want to get introduced to the genre. Finally, I have Nippon Soul by Cannonball Adderley and his sextet. This one I recently got at the Veranstaltungsmarkt in Düsseldorf. So as I mentioned before, I started to get into Japanese music, so this cover caught my attention. And when I started to look into this album, I realized that it was the first American jazz recording in Tokyo. So if you like live recordings, if you like jazz, if you like Cannonball Adderley, this is definitely a must listen. It includes some original compositions such as the title track Nippon Soul, and also some renditions from artists such as Duke Ellington. If you are into jazz, this is definitely a must listen. I think it's a rather underrated album, but definitely a must grab if you are into jazz overall. Before I end the video, I want to highlight the coffee of the day, which comes from Quietly Coffee Roasters, a rather small roaster based in Ontario, Canada. I learned that they don't roast their beans in a big city like Toronto, but rather in the middle of nowhere. The roaster wants to essentially escape the hustle and bustle of the city and wants to just focus on the coffee. This coffee I tried at Hamer Coffee in Toronto, and I was pretty impressed with it. It's an Ethiopian, it's bright, it's kind of fruity, but not too experimental. Gives off notes of watermelon or Jolly Rancher, as they say, and it's great if you like that kind of taste profile. Alright, so that about wraps up my top 10 records that really expanded my music taste this year. There are plenty that I got this year that I could include in this list, but these are the ones that stuck out. Let me know in the comments which ones you particularly enjoy and which ones I should definitely check out this year. I hope that 2025 brings more discoveries, more cool music, and getting some recommendations from the record shop owners and workers. So yeah, I'd love to hear your suggestions. Which records did you discover this year that you can recommend? I look forward to posting more videos in the new year. So if you're not already subscribed, please do so. Leave a like if you did like the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.